Welcome to Straight Talk Sacred Pathway. I'm Stuart Welbourn, a British author and former therapist, and each week I sit down with Wa-Na-Nee-Che, a spiritual elder from Turtle Island, to explore the deeper truths behind healing, ceremony, and connection to Source.
Okay. Do you remember the lady that was blind, that was a clairvoyant over, I don't know if she was from Russia or from someplace in that area. She made a lot of predictions that actually came true. And she even predicted that president would attack Iran. And that would start the domino effect. They said that there's a good chance that we'll be in a nuclear war or World War III by November of 2026.
Well, we'll have to wait till November and find out if she's right then.
But again, I was sitting there and I was cross-referencing with the Hopi prophecy. And there's some similarities between the two prophecies. Like one of the things that the Hopi prophesies is that just before the destruction of the human race comes, a giant spaceship will come and pick up those who are walking the red road. And she made the same prediction that we'll be visited by a giant spaceship before November.
Well, you said that it was about 6 years away when you've talked about the return of the Star People previously.
At that time, it was about 5, but it seems like things are getting expedited. I had a real strong vision the other night. I was with some spiritual elders, one woman and 2 spiritual elder men, and we were looking for a third one. And we sat and we talked. And the funny thing about it was that when I was talking to these spiritual people, I was in England, which was really crazy. I said, what the hell am I doing in England? But they sat there and we talked about the situation that was happening, and that they said, well, it's going to get worse. And this was before Trump attacked Iran or Israel. But before they left, they came up to me and they put their hands up right next to my head and they gave me a blessing. And I've been trying to figure out what the blessing is, but it feels like that things are going to open up quite a bit for me. I'm going to be able to get the things that I've been asking for. So it was quite interesting because I woke up and I was tired. I mean, it's like when you go in a vision, you're using your energy. So when you come out of it, you're okay. Then they showed me like there was this lost child that was impaired. And this family stole the child. And then the child got away somehow. And the father was so worried about the young child that he ended up drinking. And he was always drunk. And so all of a sudden I was at his place and I talked to him and I told him, you can't drink anymore. If you stop drinking, you'll find your little girl. And he looked at me, he stopped drinking. And a day later, there was a phone call saying that there was a young girl that was impaired that was at this restaurant type thing. So he got his coat on and took off, and sure enough, it was his little girl. So
When was this?
It was his little girl.
No, say when did this happen?
Last night.
Oh.
And anyway, they got reunited, and all of a sudden, I kind of heard a voice, you did your job. And I woke up. But things are going to kind of speed up because Trump and the Prime Minister or President of Israel have started early. They weren't supposed to be attacking Iran. So what they did was they bit off something more than they can chew. And already the Islamic world is gathering together, allying themselves together to go after Israel and to go after the United States. They even went after one of the UK bases.
Yeah, they sent a drone to the base in Cyprus.
Uh, but see, Trump is actually doing this to try to get away from the Epstein file.
Well, yeah, and get the oil.
Yeah, and get the oil. And Whichall asked me about him. I said, "You mean little Trump?" I said, "He wants to be little Putin. He wants to put his foot in this country. He wants to put his foot in other countries. You know." And he's starting. He's almost like, you remember when they talked about the Antichrist, and they said that people would see the truth, but they didn't care. They would still follow him.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Trump's bad, but I don't think he's good enough to be cast as the Antichrist, surely.
Pretty damn close to it, because people will do anything he wants them to do.
Well, there is that, isn't there? I mean, what would his true followers, his loyal followers, actually do if it was released in the Epstein files beyond all reasonable doubt, footage, photos, and everything of him raping someone or having sex with somebody underage? Would they still defend him then?
It's a Democratic hoax.
Yeah, I know. But the trouble is, because of AI, it is possible that things could be a hoax. I'm not saying in his case, but it's easy to create a video of someone like Trump doing something that he hasn't done, even though he's done lots of bad things.
When somebody commits a crime, they always say, "Can we get a witness?" Well, according to Trump, you have 38 women who are witnesses, and they're still not doing anything about it.
Hmm.
But anyway, you know, the whole idea is that people are going to be tested to see whether their spirituality is going to be tested. And I was watching a program this morning about deciphering the Bible's hidden code. They were talking about how the Bible had predicted. This was way back 3,000 years ago. That once they start deciphering it, and it was like so many letters, then you took that letter. So many letters, and you took that letter. And they predicted Kennedy's assassination. They predicted the Twin Towers getting hit. They predicted the what's his name, Razin from Israel being assassinated. So, and they seem to be right on
But
with all
that
the.
is also part of human psychology, that you can find patterns if you look for them.
Oh yeah,
I find it. I'm going to have to. I do love a good conspiracy, and I do like the fact that there could be ancient things going on and everything like that. But I draw the line at a Bible having the fact somewhere hidden in it that JFK is going to get shot. That's just like one tinfoil hat too many for me.
yeah. But who is the Bible written by?
It depends which one, doesn't it?
Men.
Well, yeah.
Did you ever see women having any part in the Bible?
Well, because we've talked about this stuff before. I mean, we haven't talked about Iran, obviously, before, because it's only just happened. But you want to talk about women. And last week we were talking about braves, just as we ran out of times, and I asked you if there were female braves. I know there was someone called Little Nose or something that I come across just as a
And
post appeared
it
after
was
me talking
actually,
about it.
there was quite a few women warriors that even fought in the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Hmm. Do you know much of the actual history or not?
I've been checking things out, and there is a winter counts that actually talk about the women warriors. You know, they weren't basically told to stay in their tent and cook. You know, they were allowed to be who they wanted to be. So a lot of them, again, became warriors. A lot more than people realize.
Do you know any of the historical ones though? Anything about them?
Yeah, I had some names down. I can't remember where I put them, but I had taken some names down of some of the warriors that were in the Battle of Little Bighorn. And they tell about this one lady, and I can't remember her name, but her her brother was in the battle, and he was about to be shot, or I can't remember exactly, or sabred. And she came out with her horse and pulled him off the horse and saved his life.
Because as you're saying about women not having much to do with the Bible, apart from being in a treated badly in it, um, when we think of Indigenous Americans as female, there's not many names rise to, you know, the forefront that you think of. Pocahontas is like the only one you really think of, isn't it? Well, who we think of. There's no names really spring to mind. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, the only thing the Pocahontas basically was known for was saving John Smith's life.
Yeah, but that's
Then,
the only female we know of by name, really, unless you look
then
into it deeply.
he stole her, put her on the ship, took her back to England, where she died because he kind of ignored her then once he got back to England.
Ah, well, I've not seen the Disney cartoon, so I can't even comment on the story. I don't even know the story. I literally, from my perspective, all I know is the name.
Yeah, because if you look at some of the tribes in the up into like eastern, not eastern, but the northern part of America as well as Canada, the women were chiefs. They were the head of the tribes, and it was the clan mothers that ran everything. And the men had to basically obey what the clan mother said. And that's why there wasn't that many wars, is because the women understood the pain of losing their child, their children. So they would always be kind of only war was a last resort to them. And I think the only person that could was on their level that they would listen to was the spiritual elder, the medicine man. He's the only one that basically can confirm with him. Like I once was trying to get a hold of. They have a woman's medicine circle, and there's nothing but women. Men aren't allowed. And I was talking to one of the heads of the women's organization. We talked on the phone for probably, I'd say, 45 minutes. And then she started laughing, and I said, "What are you laughing at?" She said, "Well, you know that our organization is all women, but we want to invite you to come up and talk to us." And I started laughing. She said, "What you laughing at?" I said, "You only want me up there to snag me." But I think my humor, when we were talking, we used a lot of humor, and they said something that I had the energy of a woman because I was raised by 7 women. So I understand the women's side, and I think they picked that up right away. And that's why I got invited.
So you went and talked to them then?
No, I wish I would have,
Ah, why
but I
didn't
never
you
got
go
up
then?
there. I don't know, just the timing was off.
Uh,
I wasn't quite into what I'm doing now. Everything at that time was like a grain of salt.
right. We've got a couple of people viewing live. If you are viewing with us
I'm
live tonight, if you've got any questions,
already. Oh, I
post them.
say that. Bring them on.
Yeah, because we don't want to be talking about the end of the world, preferably. I mean, if it's all going to end, are we saying the world's ending in November then?
Yeah, well, the prophecy is it doesn't mean everybody. It just means a like 70%. But when they talk about there would be a time and when there would be 5,000 years of peace, well, then the evilness has to be done away with. So who's ever left is going to be people who follow the red road, who follow the sacred hoop. and there'll be peace because there won't be no reason to go to war.
That'd be nice. But
Yeah,
there have been lots of doomsday prophecies throughout all time.
yeah.
What's to say yours is right? I'm just saying,
What?
a lot of people that may be tuning in about spiritual things don't really want to hear the end of the world's about to come, and may be turned off by that kind of talk
Well,
as well.
they're going to be if they sit there and they turn it off, they're meant to be turned off
Right.
because they're not going to be the ones that are going to be saved. That's why I always say make sure that you start looking at getting advanced tickets to the spaceship
Where'd you get them from?
by following the red road.
Uh,
You're automatically given a ticket. But see, people won't realize it until it happens. It's just like the one thing about all these prophecies is that they can be changed.
well, that's good.
But like I said, like I tell people, like when you have a premonition, which a lot of people will think they're dreams, but they're real premonition of something that's going to happen, something horrible is going to happen, and you wake up and you're tired, you simply can take tobacco. Take it, here's it. I don't like the dream or the vision I just had, the premonition. Can you change it? You put the tobacco down on your side by your end table, put it on, and guess what? You go to sleep, they change it.
Right, I'm being a little bit facetious with this one though when I say it, but can I not just put a bit of tobacco outside and go? I'm not happy with U.S. foreign policy at the moment.
It doesn't work like that.
No,
You have to basically sit there and you're doing it because you want kind of like vengeance against them.
no.
But the whole idea is when you have something that is close to you and you want it to change, that's when you use it. You want something to change. And then a lot of times, when I sat there and I go and somebody was sick, and I knew that at that time, and sometimes I could bring healing in, to bring the life force energies in to heal that individual. And it was Jake Whitecrow that was my adopted father. That when he had that massive heart attack and he went back to Oklahoma and he was in the hospital, I went to the hospital and I sat there and I put my hands out and there was blue energy coming and hitting him. And he put his hands out and he stopped it. He said, "What you doing?" He said, "I'm going to try to heal you." And he said, "Did I ask you to heal me?" I said, "No." He said, "It's up to me. If I want you to heal me, I would ask you. But it's my choice. You can't force yourself onto me." He said, "It's my decision." And he said, "I don't want to be healed." He said, "I'm tired. All I feel is pain here on the earth from people." He said, "I want to go home where there's love." And I pulled back. And next thing I knew, I woke up. I was in a vision. I woke up and I said, "He's going to pass." And about an hour later, I got a call. Jane, his wife, and said he passed. But it's funny that I sat there and I went outside and I did a ceremony. Now, this was in the middle of January, towards the end of January. There was probably about 2 feet of snow on the ground. And all the trees basically were there. But all of a sudden, when I woke up and went out, the snow was gone. And the trees were heavy with like almost like icicles. And all of them looked like they were bowing their heads. Because I asked them to honor Jake. And that was my sign that they honored him. Then about, I say maybe 15 days later, he came to me and he showed me a ceremony on how to open a doorway so that if there were trapped spirits, I could send them through the doorway. So I sat there and I said, "Do I have to do the doorway for you?" He said, "No." He said, "I have a doorway already." I said, "Would you allow me to take you to that doorway?" And he said, "Of course, that's why I'm here talking to you." So they got into a white turtle shell boat. And he sat there and I went and there was a light. We went right next to the light. He got out and went into the light. So I was given that honor of taking him to the light so that he could go through the doorway. So that's when I found out that you can't heal people if they don't want to be healed.
No, that's the same with what I used to do, or do occasionally from time to time still. But people with psychological issues, you can't force them to change their views and the way they process information. So my cat's just decided to jump on me for the 4th time today while I'm sitting here. Hello, buddy.
Yeah, I was way up in Scotland. I can't remember the place, but I remember I went up there to do a lodge and to do a lecture. And this one lady was talking about death and how to accept it and everything. And I just sat there. I said, "That's wrong." What she should be doing is, first of all, finding out if they're ready to go. And if they're not ready to go, then find ways to heal them. But if we want to go, prepare them for something that's wonderful that's going to happen to them. So that when it's their time, they freely release their energy and let their energy go home.
Well, the state of the world, going home and back to love sounds a lot more promising and appealing than staying on Earth at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I think I'll probably take a break next week just to see if let my visions catch up to me.
Well, that's good. If this doom and gloom prophecies was to come in November, what is there any point doing anything for the next 6 months for people?
Well, I've been doing things and I've been asking to give me the insight to stop it. You see if we can't fulfill the prophecy, but in a good way. And it's because my concern is, there's a lot of evilness in the human beings. But why should the animals and nature suffer? Why should the earth suffer for the stupidity of human beings? So I've been asking almost every night now, I've been asking for things that would help me bring peace to the world.
As you said, there's a lot of evil in the world, but there is also a lot of good.
Uh-huh.
And because some people will post, "Oh, the Earth would be better if there were no human beings," and technically, in some ways, yes, it would. But if humanity was wiped out completely, we're not just losing Donald Trump, we're losing Mozart and Beethoven and all the great works of arts and the authors. Everything's just gone and was a waste of time. Why did they even bother?
Well, see, I had a lot of questions too, where I put the tobacco out and I asked questions. And I said there was a time when Jesus walked the earth and he had millions of followers. And he taught love. But now we're worse off than we ever were. So what went wrong? Why did people follow that pathway and they went to evilness? And the answer I got back was that Jesus never set up a system that would prevent evilness from taking over. So in my visions and everything, and when I do my prayers, I ask for ways that once I can bring peace to the world, that there's also a system that is set up that will no longer allow evilness to exist. And if they do exist, the head is cut off immediately.
What do you mean by the head cut off? Because that's a little bit like you Psyche and Utopias, where you fit the mold, but if you don't fit the mold, off you go.
But that's the way you get rid of evil. Is as soon as they start getting evil thoughts about killing people, about taking over because they want power and greed, they're gone.
But isn't that doing the same thing? That's the old Gandhi thing, an eye for an eye and the whole world goes blind.
But you set up a system where you have I would almost call it like overlords, governors, and for each region within the world, that their one responsibility is to make sure that evilness doesn't raise its head and that we continue to have the peace.
Well, certain political leaders seem to be saying that that's what's motivating their actions, their warlike actions, isn't it? To stabilize the area, stabilize the region, get rid of evil regimes, but they're still killing to do that, aren't they? I mean, if you look at Palestine.
Yeah, well, the whole idea comes down to control. And the reason why it was so peaceful in the Indigenous here in Turtle Island was because the resources were all there. You get rid of 7.5 billion people, there's going to be a lot of resources left. There's no reason to fight over them. So that's a kind of way that it was kind of explained to me, where we have the 5,000 years of peace, because the resources, you don't have to fight for them because they're all there. There's plenty.
What happens at the end of the 5,000 years?
Then we just go to the energy world.
Oh, right.
Or we can continue.
So it's not that after 5,000 years, people go, you know what, we haven't done for a long time. We've not had a good war.
See, the thing too, that they talked about the idea that when this finally starts the era of peace, there will be no death. Of course, there's not going to be death anyway, but you can choose when you want to go home. You just say, I want to go home. A doorway comes, you're through it.
It all sounds a little bit sci-fi, though, and far-fetched. To the logical brain, I mean.
It's just like they were talking about the Bible, and they were talking about Moses. And they said Moses had a very interesting conversation with aliens that he mistook for as God.
Or he might have just been like low on oxygen because he was up a mountain. I mean, there was a singing burning bush or something. No, the singing bush, that's the Three Amigos, isn't it? The burning bush, I mean.
You realize that the bush was hallucinarian?
Well, that's what I mean. He could have been tripping his tits off and like, yeah, I know what I'll do. I'll carve out these tablets.
There was this like that one little song. They were sitting where the guy sat there, and they had this weed. He said, and this flower. They didn't know what it was, but one day he was walking through it, and he was talking. He decided he was going to chew on something, and he said, all of a sudden, he was in the world of heaven.
Yeah, that's what makes it all a bit. Well, you don't know what to believe and what not to believe.
I know it's like I said. When the time comes, the proof will be there. And
Yeah.
it's up to people. And I think a lot of times we sit there and we use prophecies to maybe help people to make up their mind to follow the red road, to follow that pathway. And, just like religion, hell and heaven. So religion invented hell so that people would follow their teachings.
But there is that part of humanity that no matter what you're doing, you hear about all the things like, drink too much, you could die from that. Smoke too much, get lung cancer. Eat too much, have a heart attack. All those kind of things. But part of the human condition is we don't think it's going to happen to us, it's going to happen to somebody else.
Well, again, why do we get sick? It's because people want to make money off things, so they put things in things you eat that causes you to have a disease. Like, say, for instance, cancer. Smoking pure tobacco is a healthy thing. It's a medicine, but they got put the nicotine in it so that you get hooked on it, so they can make money. And the nicotine causes you to get sick and causes cancer. Pesticides are put on plants to help the growth, to get more off it. And the pesticides end up killing us because we're not supposed to be eating the pesticides in our food. So everything is based on, again, is the idea of fear and basically of using certain things that will get you hooked.
Yes, I'm thinking of stopping tobacco tomorrow. I'll see how well I get on with that.
There's I don't know, I should give you a whole my contact with Paul, because Paul's in Portugal, and there's a guy that raises pure tobacco. I got a pouch about like that of pure tobacco.
No,
Only use,
I'm on about stopping smoking tomorrow.
yeah. So I use that just for special occasions. You know, there was a place like when a friend of mine was still walking the earth, and Kentucky is known for a lot of tobacco. And before they would treat it and everything, he would find a place where he would get me real tobacco. The trouble is, when you crushed it up and made it into to smoke it, you went 3 puffs, it was gone. Without that nicotine in it, it didn't last.
Ah, right. So if you say you're using this for special occasions, do you have some other tobacco for non-special occasions?
Yeah, any tobacco will work. Like I
Well, I know
said,
you've said that, but I'm just saying, what do you use then for
I use
non-special occasions?
mostly the great big bags of tobacco for ceremonies and stuff like that. But when I want to kind of smoke, get the pipe going, I'll use that special tobacco.
Got you, got you. So can you get in America then tobacco that you can smoke that's not been treated?
Well, they did. Remember what the kind of Indian Spirit?
Oh yeah,
Indian Spirit was pure tobacco, and then the Reynolds company took it over and they start putting nicotine in it. Now there's another one out there, and that didn't have any chemicals in it. It went out of business. I know Matthew used to smoke it a lot, and but it was a non-contaminated tobacco. I'm trying to figure what the heck the name of it was. Matt's, Matt,
right.
cigarettes, and that didn't have any chemicals in it. So I used to order that quite a bit, but they kind of went out of business because they were they were selling it too cheap. I think you can actually get it online. I'm not sure. But that's what it is, Matt.
I just thought of something. When I came to your weekend retreat type thing in Sherwood Forest, I don't know who it was that was there, but it was somebody from somebody who was on the course or weekend retreat, whatever. One of the people there said that you can hold a cigarette in your hands or something and remove the negative energies from it. Is that true?
Yeah.
So what would you do for that then?
I'd have to basically actually physically do it.
Right.
And I don't know how I do it. It's just basically I ask. And then that energy comes in and it works with me.
But is that something anybody could do that smokes, for example, to remove the
Yeah.
negative?
Once they get connected and once they have that belief system and they know the ceremonies to get people's attention, to get the energy's attention, then it works.
Right.
And part of it again is intent.
It's what, sorry?
It's intent and how you do it. It's just like we had, and I won't mention his name, but he was abusing his power. he was going to like England mostly, and he had like about 5 or 6 wives. And then he was after this. I I don't know exactly, but I think she was like 14 years old or 15 years old, and he was trying to capture her. And I went to the lodge and I said, I'm not doing this because I'm pissed off. I'm not doing it out of vengeance. I said, I'm doing it because people are being hurt. Innocent people are being hurt. I mentioned a young girl and everything. And I said, you shouldn't allow him to do that. It's not right. So I came out of the lodge about 6 years later. I'm not 6 years, 6 months later. He stopped coming to the UK. Then I found out he had cancer. So again, the energies didn't kill him, but it gave him cancer, so he couldn't travel. He couldn't come back to the UK anymore.
Does that not work at a presidential level? Right, we're coming up to time, really. Rather than getting cut off, see, getting buzzers going off, letting me know. Rather than getting cut off mid-sentence, as we often do, is there anything you'd like to finish on?
No. Did I ever tell you about the poor people? Like if you're sitting in an audience, and you tell the people, you say that there's one person out of 4 that is crazy. Did I ever tell you that one?
I think I had that as a fridge magnet.
Where you looked at the person to your left, you looked at the person to your right, you looked at the person behind you, and if they all look okay, you're it.
Yeah.
So I always tell them that's a sign that says basically again, everyone's crazy.
I would agree. I even put that in my book. I think that everyone's like Fruit Loops. I'm going to stop streaming. Yay. Thanks for listening to Straight Talk Sacred Pathway. If you'd like to ask Wa-Na-Nee-Che a question, you can email me at stuart@realityresponsibility.com. The link will be in the description. And don't forget, you can download a powerful guided meditation for free at humancircleoflife.com.